Breedinum Radio, brought to you by Pertinier Outdoors, your source for all things deer hunting and the rut here in New York State, right in your backyard, so you can get up in the stand and pound them all season long.
Yeah. Well, I can hear you through Austin, but I can't, whatever. We'll take it.
Yeah. All right, cool. As long as this works, I can make sure I talk loud and yeah, we'll get it done.
Yeah. 3 millennial rednecks trying to figure out Zoom.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. So I've got Austin Williams and Wesley LaBar. Is that how you say your last name, Wes? LaBar?
Yep, that's it. Wes LaBar.
Wes LaBar. So I got these two guys joining me tonight for week 3 of Breedinum Radio. Austin, from the looks of it, you shot a beautiful buck this past weekend with your buddy Wes here. So I wanted to get the two of you guys on. Wes, have been following him for a couple years on Instagram and saw that post he had and then kind of connected me with you. So welcome, guys. And if you want to just give a kind of a quick rundown of who you are, where you're from, and some of the areas you hunt generally, and then we'll kind of get into the story about the buck.
Yeah. Wes, you can go ahead.
You want me to go ahead?
Yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, like you said, my name's Wes LaBar. We're both from Minerva, New York. We graduated high school in 2013 together. I've lived up here since 2002. My dad grew up here. My great-great-grandfather moved up here in the early 1900s. So, like, both of our families have been up here since the early 1900s. So, I'm 26. Austin's 25. My father wasn't much into hunting at all. My mom, she's from Arkansas, and her two brothers were. And they kind of got me into hunting down there. And my dad had some friends up here that got me into hunting. But when I moved back up here, when my dad moved up here to take over a family business in 2002, Austin's dad and my dad kind of linked up. We knew each other they knew each other from high school. And we started hunting together. That really kicked off our relationship as far as being in the outdoors together and hunting and fishing together. And that kind of grew through being in the same high school and grade together growing up. We hunted and fished, and then Austin worked for my dad, and we became best friends, and really that's how we started hunting together. What about you, Austin?
Yeah, I mean, Austin Williams here, 25. Me and Wes got to know each other since second grade This is when he came up here. My grandfather on my mom's side has been hunting for his whole life. My dad bringing me hunting since I remember first grade. I was in music class, and this is the first memory I got of hunting. And teacher comes in, and she's like, "Oh, your dad's here to come pick you up." She's like, "Do you have a doctor's appointment?" I'm like, "Oh, I don't know." Well, we get to the truck, and he goes, "There are your clothes, put them on, we're going hunting."
Nice.
I was like, all right. And that day, actually, the stand is still standing, but we had a stand. It was way up in a tree, and just me and him. And this deer came out, was muzzle loading, old hammerlock. And Dad goes, "You want to shoot it?" And I was like, "Yeah." And so he's got his arms around me. The gun's on his shoulder, and I'm right on the deer, and I'm like, plug my ears. And he goes, "I can't. I got to hold on to the gun." And he's like, "You'll be fine. You won't hear it." And he goes, "Do you want me to shoot it?" And I was like, "Yeah." So he kind of pulled up his arms, and I snuck underneath. And that was the first one that I remember, and I've been hooked ever since. And I mean, I since probably 2015, 2016 school year for college, I moved out west, and I went to school in Syracuse at ESF. And I've been out here ever since. But I mean, I've killed a couple deer out here, but there's just something about the Adirondacks that just pulls you back. And once you get it in your blood, you can't get out of it. And I just love hunting those big woods up there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I definitely second that. My uncles, they got me into hunting down in Arkansas. That's where I killed my first deer when I was 9. There's no age limit down there. If you can hold a gun and you can shoot, you're allowed to kill deer. So they got me into it. And then, living up here, I got into the Adirondacks, and you're just going out there and you're really not seeing much. And it's hard to really get into it up here just because of the low population of deer numbers we have. But now that Austin and I are our age and we've got out and really expanded our, the way we hunt and our strategies and stuff, and connected with a couple of nice Adirondack bucks, I wouldn't want to hunt anywhere else. A lot of my buddies, come this time of year in the summertime. Oh, you want to book a trip out to Ohio or Pennsylvania and go bow hunting? And I think I'm just going to save my days off for the rut and the Adirondacks, because there's nothing like connecting with these deer up here. I mean, they're few and far between. And even Austin said when he had his hands around this rack of this buck, I mean, it's not every year that we make this happen. He goes, the last time I had my hands around a buck like this has been a few years. So to connect with a deer like that on a hunt of ours that we've been hunting on for back when, we used to hunt with our fathers and stuff like that. We're talking 10 years ago. To connect with a nice Adirondack buck like this on one of our favorite spots was just very, very special moment. Just one of those ones that you get all emotional and, we're all dancing around in the woods and just screaming and yelling, hooting and hollering. So it's definitely a special deer.
It's awesome. So let's roll right into the story then. So I don't know which one of you guys wants to take the lead on it, but so this was opening weekend of Muzzle Loader, so I assume that's what was going on.
Austin and I talked about it. I'll take a little lead on it. So we decided, we've been duck hunting the last couple weekends, and we actually did duck hunt Saturday morning, and we always debated because we were like right into muzzleloader season, blah blah blah. But we did duck hunt. So Sunday we planned a little hunt out to hunt, a little area of land we've been hunting for a while. Went up, did a couple hunts with 3 other buddies of ours. We heard some deer, saw some decent amount of sign, but nothing that we were real excited about. So around, it was around 10:30. We decided to, take a little drive. We drove another 10 minutes down the road to one of our favorite hunts that we've done, like I've been talking about for a long, long time now. And I was like, Austin, take these 2, where to set them up. And I took one of my other buddies and I said, hey, we're going to still hunt this ridge right across. I'm going to stay up high in this dark timber that I always do. And then I want to have you stay low down near the swamp. And I got right into the hunt. We did have service in this spot. So I texted Austin. I said, hey, we're going to start this hunt. I got right into it. And there's this little flat that I start out on, and there's mature pines. And then there's a lot of pricker bushes below it, which, this time of year when the pricker bushes have their leaves on it and you get frosty weather, the deer love to feed on those leaves. It's like a sugary content comes out of them. So I got right into those, and I was really taking my time because where I start this hunt is right in the thick area. And I didn't even get 3 minutes into the hunt, Bill, and I heard a little bit of rustling going on. And I looked up, and this buck jumped up. He took a couple bounds. I saw a beam on one side. I pulled my muzzleloader up. I had open sights, and I laid my barrel in this next opening. I said, as soon as he comes in that opening, I'm going to let him have it. And he never ended up in that opening. And I saw like one more bound of him, and he headed up through. So like I said, I had service. So I texted Austin. I said, hey, man, there's a really, really big buck coming. I said, I saw a good sized beam on him. I said, decent sized body. I said, real good buck. I honestly didn't know how good he was till I got up to him, but I said, big buck coming. And so I took my time because of the way this ridge is, and there was a good, 5-6 mile an hour wind. When he shot, I just got up to where I jumped the buck up, and I didn't even hear him shoot. And it took me, I was still hunting it the whole time. It took me another, I don't know what it was, 30, 35, 40 minutes to get out real close to him. And I looked down at my phone. I thought I saw him say something about a deer down. And then so I still hunted a little bit more. I was staying right on his tracks, headed right to Austin. And I looked way out on the ridge, and there's these big, it was right in where Austin was in a big stand of hemlocks. And I looked out there, and I could see a white belly. And I said, no way. And like I said, I thought I heard a shot, but where we were, we could hear shots from down near town where people were banging away all day. and I saw that big belly, and I just started sprinting. I was so excited. I didn't see any other sign of any other deer, and I knew I was right by the drive. And I ran right past that deer, and I was screaming. I was like, "You shot that deer! You shot that deer!" And I ran right into my Austin's arms, and I was like, "Holy cow, buddy!" And like he was being, he was staying, right in the spot, being good about it. He didn't go see it yet. We both walked over there together, and just to be able to walk up to such a respectable, big Adirondack buck like that. Not super old, but just a really nice.
Oh, hold on. When you mute, I can't hear. Oh, there you go.
Sorry about that. West start.
Where, we weren't even legally allowed to hunt. You know what I mean? So it was an awesome time. It was emotional, and to have a good group of guys together there and share their experience was just awesome.
Yeah, I was trying to move my mouse and I clicked it by accident.
Oh, no problem. I missed like a 10-second blurb there because he muted you, but that's all right. So that's,
he was saying it was just like having that respectable buck and hunting together and all that stuff, and having it come together
just,
like that.
Being in that area that we both love, that's both one of our favorite hunts, probably both of our favorite hunts. So to be there and just have killed, multiple bucks off that property in the last couple decades, and just to have that special moment with good friends opening weekend, it's like, man, we're starting the season off right.
Yeah. Do you guys I'd like to hear Austin's perspective on it first before I ask a couple of strategy questions on kind of what it looked like.
Absolutely.
So what was that like for you when you had an idea there was a buck coming, but you didn't know if it was actually going to show or not?
So like Wes said, like in the beginning, in the morning, we did a couple spots on different property, and I'm typically the one that hunts that area. And I mean, I had seen deer up there, and actually anytime I gone up this year with the bow or Saturday afternoon with the muzzle loader, I mean, I'd always seen a deer except for one time. So I'm like, well, it's kind of muzzle loading. We'll kind of, like, if it's a good mature doe or a decent buck, we can take them. And so I had buddies up there, and Wes was driving with me all the time. And like he said, we don't really, like, when you think of a deer drive, like, we don't really like go through the woods making a lot of noise. We kind of like still hunt through, so stuff like that. But then he's like, well, we can go do this drive. And I was like, yeah, let's go. And like almost every time we've done that drive, we've seen deer on it, whether you're a driver or whether you're a watcher.
Yeah.
So he goes, all right, take one person down there. I'll drop one on the way, and then me and the other guy will push it down. All right. So I get the text, buck, and I'm like, okay. So I'm waiting, and I was kind of just sitting down, and like he said, like the spot I was sitting, it's my favorite watch. And when I was walking in there, I looked at the other person hunting with us, one of the other people, and I go, this is one of my favorite drives. I said, this is my favorite spot to sit. Like, it's just nice open hemlocks. And I'm like, and so I'm like, all right. And I set up and set the other person down there, and we were semi-close, but there was just a little bit of a knob where I couldn't see down to my left too good, so they sat right down there. And so I had out in front of me and up to my right. And so he texted me, buck coming. I'm like, okay. So I'm sitting up against this hemlock tree and got the gun on my knee waiting, and I'm just doing my scans. And all of a sudden, about probably 80 to 100 yards out, I see this deer coming. I'm like, okay. So I got the gun up, and I'm waiting, and it dropped into this dip between me and the ridge where I saw it. And I was like, okay. And I got the gun up, and I'm waiting, and I saw a hole, and I'm like, nope, came through too fast through that one. And the next one, I kind of had to lean forward a little bit. And I'm like, here we go. And he stepped out, and he turned his head, and he looked at me, and I could see the bottom of his beams and like through the scope, and I could tell he was out past his ears, and I just saw this thick chest.
Yeah.
And I pulled on the shoulder, and he was just quartering to me, and I aimed for the opposite back shoulder, and I let him have it, and he hit the dirt. And I was like, oh yeah, he didn't move. And I
didn't go 20.
Didn't go 20.
Daniels would say, didn't go 20.
Yeah.
And he hit it, and I was like, all right. And he was doing, like that little just kick with his feet. And by the time he stopped that, I had reloaded, and I had another cap in there, and I think it was one of the fastest times I ever reloaded. It had to have been like 10, 15 seconds.
But he was done.
He didn't. He hit the dirt, kicked that little bit, and he was done. And
It's awesome.
like Wes said, I didn't get up. Like I would stand up a little bit and kind of like look down, and our hunting partner next to us, I watched him hit the dirt, and I kind of like looked over after I reload, and they're shaking their fists like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah. And so about 10 times, so it took Wes about half an hour, and about 10 times, I think I kind of like stood up a little bit to make sure he was still down there.
Yeah.
And I could see a beam, but I couldn't see anything else. And so
we both didn't realize how nice this deer was until we got up to it, to be honest. When he jumped up and I saw he was out past his ears, and I sent him that text, I knew it was a good deer. And then when Austin shot him, he knew it was a good deer. But until we went over there and looked at each other and looked at the deer, we didn't realize what a really nice, respectable 4-year-old Adirondack buck we killed. It was really special moment. Yeah. Super sweet.
And it's even better to have that success without snow on the ground too. I mean, it's tough hunting up there when you've got leaves on and
and it was pretty loud too.
Changes the game.
It was pretty loud morning. Like that morning, it was pretty cold. I mean, I think it was like 28 to 30 degrees, and like we're standing there for the first little bit, and I'm like, man, I'm cold. But then once it got in the day, and I mean, this buck was, I think I shot him like 20-1.
Oh wow!
This was the only deer that came out of the drive. But when I saw Wes, he was right where that deer came out, and he was coming up over the ridge, and I could see his camo. So I stood up and I started walking over, and I actually did text him. I'm like I'm sitting there waiting. I'm like, man, this drive shouldn't take this long, but
he's waiting on me.
I'm like, come on, dude, come on. And I'm like, will you just hurry up? Like, I want to see my buck. And he didn't read the text.
I didn't even know he killed the deer.
Yeah.
Like I said, I could hear shots and echoes through the mountains miles away, and I didn't look at my phone after I saw that big buck, and I was hunting them at the same time. Yeah. Like we say, we call them drives, but really, in the Adirondacks, that's been such a debatable topic, when it comes to the whole social media world and podcasts and, YouTubing on hunting and stuff. To me, they're more like hunts because, and Austin will tell you, and anybody that hunts with me, I like to drive. And the reason why I like to drive is because I call it driving like I'm saying, I take my time and I really do still hunt it, and if that buck like this one happened to get up and get away from me, we have other people on the end, but they're sitting there, we're not making noise. We don't, push and whatever. We call it a drive, but, they're really hunts to me is what I call it. So
Yep.
I don't want people to get mixed up in the way that we have success with our deer because, it is hunting. It's not all driving. There's definitely a difference if you ask me, I guess, as far as my personal opinion.
Yep. Oh, for sure. And we do a lot of that ourselves. We do we're down at the Finger Lakes where our hunting camp is, and it's all hardwoods and side hills, and we do a lot of still hunting, especially once we get into gun season. We don't do it during archery, but we get into gun, and then we've talked a lot about it on the podcast. We go to PA, and we don't do any sitting. It's all strategic still hunts is what we call them, drives, but they're still hunts, and we've got everybody set up, and you got to move because it could, we want to do 2 or 3 of these hunts a day, but you're not making tons of noise and running around and.
Absolutely. You have to cover this ground. Like, people don't understand, like, that when they think of drive, they think of one person on one person of the property or, like, a group of people and one on the other. When I used to guide with, a great guide named Jamie Fraser with Adirondack Mountain and Stream, we would have hunts, because he called them hunts, I've always called them hunts, where we would set up our clients behind us when we would go to drive a mountain or hunt over the mountain because those deer would loop back around, and a lot of times that person that we would put on that tail end that actually started out behind us would kill a respectable buck just because of the way that they move in those mountains. So, people think drives, flatlands, one person's on one side of the thicket and the other. There's absolutely a bunch of strategy that goes into this, type of style of hunting, whether you're in the Adirondacks or not, So.
How far behind do you guys, because we've talked a lot about trailers, but trying to figure out exactly how to handle that. with somebody behind?
Yeah.
How far back do you usually have them?
That's always been a debatable topic, and honestly, and like a lot of things, it really comes down to the lay of the land. I mean, if you're going into a land and you haven't really hunted it before, I like my trailers to be at least 150 yards behind me. But if I know there's a gut that's only closer than that distance that I like to set my trailers up, well, I'm going to have them where they can see that gut, or even if it's farther, because this deer might make a big loop and a big swing to get back behind you, But so to answer your question, I guess I would say it all comes down to the area of the land and the lay of it and stuff like that. So
yeah, and I mean, with this drive, honestly, we didn't have any trailers, but every other time that we've done that drive,
we know how these deer run this drive. So I mean, you don't need you can do it with 2 people, but we happen to have 5. And you really only need 2 washers and 2 drivers on this hunt. But
yeah, I mean, honestly, I was sitting down on this drive, but if I was standing up, I could have shot the whole way. But any other time that we've done this drive, I've always had them come to my left, and there's a runway that heads out, and they either go straight behind me, or they'll loop up and around me, and they'll get in the hardwoods on top of the hill, and they'll head right back in.
Yeah.
But I've been talking to Wes even that day, and still actually earlier we were talking. I think because I've never had a deer on this drive come straight at me like that. I think the only reason that he did that was because he was a mature buck, but the wind was in my face and he wanted to stay downwind of Wesley.
So he could smell the threat behind him.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason I think that he came straight in like that. But I mean, we
don't want to get into specifics about where we hunt, but also he had a really big body of water on the side of him. So he was traveling with the wind not in his favor, but honestly, he was getting bottlenecked off this one side hill, and that's why I always put a guy right there on that hill, and it's just happened to work out with us. We've actually, and I don't always like saying this, but we've actually have harvested 6 bucks off that 200-acre piece of land or hunt right there in the last 3 years. So
that's awesome.
It's been real productive for us. So like we're talking about trailers and drives and stuff like that. I won't put a trailer up on this hunt if I have adequate people, So it also, like, when you're going into hunting area, it also, like, when it comes to trailers, depends on how many people you have or don't have, that always changes up the ways you place people. So
very interesting. I didn't know how the buck was killed, and it's pretty cool that was a strategic partner team hunt in the early season. That's pretty cool. So
absolutely. Yeah.
Trying to keep it relatively short, because I have a feeling I could chat with you guys for quite a while, because I want to know more.
We got to talking about that. We're big storytellers. We love to talk. So
yeah. We'll get you guys on again, because I want to do more with the North Country. We have the intent to do statewide stuff, but it seems like we end up hanging around home. There's so much going on out here in Western New York with deer and turkey that we don't talk about the North Country, but would definitely like to get you guys on to talk more, because it sounds like you're pretty well in tune with what's going on up there. So
absolutely, we'd love to give you a public invite if you and your crew would like to come up here. If I'm available to take you out, you can hunt with Austin and I, and if not, we can put you on state land, because both of Austin and I back up to hundreds of thousands of acres of state land up here, and and we're all about getting people out here. We don't feel like, oh, you're coming to hunt our spot. It's state land. As we've grown up saying, if you can't stay in the competition, don't hunt. There's millions of acres all around us. You know what I mean? If you can't go out and find your own little piece to hunt and learn and figure out, then you shouldn't be hunting, in my opinion. You know what I mean? It's all about the chase, and it's fair chase. You know what I mean? It's state land, and that's how it is.
Amen to that.
Anytime Partner Outdoors wants to come up here, you guys are more than welcome.
Well, same to you. If you want to come down in the southern zone and run around the Finger
Awesome.
Lakes, you're more than welcome. I guess
we love doing that. We like a little change of pace.
Yeah, man. Just in closing, if you're somebody heading out this weekend up in the North Country, what would you be focusing on? If you're trying to get after, maybe you're not going with a group, maybe you're going individual, and you're going to be sitting.
Individual or not, I mean, it's early season. You got to stick with your basics. And although Adirondack deer have been known to be the hardest to pattern in many different situations, they are still hitting their food sources. I haven't heard any, rut activity with younger deer happening at all. So if I were you, I'd find your apple trees, find your south-facing ridges up high that may have some oak trees on them. There may not be too many beech nuts falling yet, but if you can find yourself near a food source right now, I think you'd be headed in the right directions when it comes to the Adirondacks. It looks like we got some colder weather coming, so if you're the patient type, which I happen to not be, I like to be a still hunter and on my feet, then yeah, find yourself next to a food source and a big ridge with a good view, and so you can see real far, and hang tight, because these deer are out there. This year has been, I don't know about you, Bill, but this year it seems like a lot of people are killing some deer. Especially up here. I don't know about down there, but the numbers are high starting out. We're still early on. Yeah,
been a lot of good deer shot too. Just watching, watching everybody posting stuff on social media. It's been pretty awesome so far this year. There's been some giant shot out here in our area, and seeing bucks like what you guys are shooting, that is a great representation of the North Country. And we're running a lot of cell cams, and we're seeing stuff starting to fire up. Not really, actually, not that consistent, but we've had a couple of one of our big target bucks showed back up that hasn't shown himself in almost a year, and we were questioning whether he was alive or not. So he showed up 2 nights ago. He's a freaking giant. I'll send you a picture of him. But I saw your podcast with Mark. I actually listened to it just before we did this podcast, and I'd love for all of us to get together sometime and talk about Adirondack hunting up here, just to get some variety into everything, because there's a lot of misconceptions about hunting up here and stuff like that. So, I think that's all really cool, and we should maybe do something like that. Mark's an awesome guy. I follow his stuff. Yeah, he is. I enjoyed the hell out of that conversation, and I hope to catch up with him someday. Yeah, I've been talking about that for a couple of years now, that I'd love to get a later, quote unquote, later season rifle hunt up in the Adirondacks and get a bunch of guys together and do some strategic hunting, and be freaking awesome. So someday, awesome. Hopefully get some snow on the ground and mess with that, because that's always a big advantage to us guys up here, getting some snow on the ground.
And that's the good thing about up there too, is we have such a long rifle season. Like down here, I'm living in Rome now, just south of Rome. I'm still in Southern Zone, so I got a long bow season, but I can go up there and hunt rifle. It's like, all right, I'm gonna get up there and I'm watching the forecast. But I mean, like Wes said, right now, watch for the weather. It's supposed to be warm, and then those cold fronts are coming in. Watch those, and then get between your food source and your bed source and your bedding areas, and sit down and wait. And you just got to find those ridges. And if it's going to be a warmer day, I've always found them on those points where they're sitting down and they're watching their backtrack and they're playing the wind. And you just got to get out there and find those runways and find those feed sources in the bedding areas. And you got to try and sit in between them and figure out where they're going. Like you were saying with the cell cameras, I've been so busy with work, I haven't set up any trail cameras this year. I'm hunting blind. I'm like, well, I'll go where they usually are, and I've been finding them, but it's not. And that's what Mark said. That's something I definitely noticed with, button up with what he said. I like running the trail cameras, and I haven't done as many this year because I get a good idea, and it's more of like a mental, okay, I know there's this deer out here. But the most mature bucks that I get on my camera, I hardly get after November on my camera. Like he says, it could be 6 to 26 miles away breeding a doe. You know what I mean? And I might not get that buck on camera until next year, but so I agree with him. And but yeah,
I haven't been, much into them this year, but I do believe they have a good purpose. But I like going out on the track and being surprised by what you see out there, because you never know with the Adirondacks. And what I think the special gift about this park is that whenever you go out, there's always a certain experience that happens, that you may see this type of animal, that type of animal, and you may be after a buck and kill a completely different buck, but it's always special because you work hard for it up here.
Yep. Amen to that.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, boys, for jumping on. Great buck, Austin. Congratulations, and keep feeding them, boys.
Yeah.
Let's get it. You keep feeding them, we'll keep breeding them.
Yeah. You ain't breeding them no more.
All right.
All right. Have a good one.
You too.
Yeah, we'll see you guys.
Fucking Jimmy. And of course, you throw the hot mic on.
It's hot, Rusty.
Nice. Speaking of hot mics, did you hear about Troy Aikman and Joe Buck?
Yeah.
Oh, good Lord.
Anti-flyover.
Anti-flyover.
This guy's.
What are you doing?
Troy Aikman. I cannot stand listening to Troy Aikman.
I hate Joe Buck
They
with
were
a passion.
They were awful in the Call of the Bills game the other day.
Oh.
I mean, granted, the Bills didn't help themselves, but like they're just Troy Aikman's just. Ugh.
I'll take Tony Romo any day over him.
Yeah.
It's
Tony
really,
Romo's pretty good.
Dude, he can almost call the play right as it goes.
He basically does.
I know. He's pretty much, what, 80% correct?
Yeah, Andy likes Corona. The beer. So what are you doing?
Well, came over to have a beer and, pack up some beer for the gracious people that ordered some from us.
Yeah,
I wish it was more of ours, but we drank ourselves dry, I guess.
we did. Took a week. We should have.
It took 6 days.
It was 6 days. No, because
6
it was the
days.
following.
It was the following Wednesday.
Yeah,
We're only open Wednesday through Sunday.
that's right. Yeah. So all you degenerates out there did a great job.
Congrats.
Yeah,
Appreciate
75 gallons in 6 days.
Glad all of you like the beer.
Yeah. So hopefully next year we'll do it again. We'll do a different flavor so Russ is happy.
I don't care.
I think
This was great.
the IPA came out awesome.
If we make it again, I have no problem with it.
No.
To be honest.
Yeah. I think it should just be on tap there all the time, but that's just my opinion.
We have so many staples, we can only have so many rotators right now.
The crowd, the people will talk, and the people will speak with their money. We'll talk. We'll speak with our money.
Yeah,
our
okay.
Wallets.
Well, I got a new one coming out, so don't worry about it. You'll
Perfect.
enjoy it.
Perfect.
See you up there next week.
Yeah. Congrats. You're not on here to talk about beer. You're on here to talk about nice buck you whacked.
Yeah,
Saturday morning.
That was a glad or like a happy surprise there.
Well, hold on.
Go on.
Got Russ Haentges.
No, yep, there we go.
I didn't even introduce
That's
you.
okay.
We
had the hot mic and we were rolling.
just started
it was
talking.
fine.
So Russ Haentges here. Rusty is the one that helped us brew the beer. Friend of mine that I've gotten to know through Sarah, through Danny,
Through all over.
He's Russ Haentges.
Yeah.
Yeah. So proceed.
All right. So Saturday morning, had a solid wind. Okay.
No.
Oh,
I'm trying to
you?
drink my beer.
Okay.
No, you sound great.
All right. Thank you. I try. Yeah. So Saturday morning, got out into the stand a little later than I normally would have, but it kind of set up nice. It was super frosty. About 1:45, started hearing some rustling, like east of me, or west of me, actually, down in some pines. Went quiet, and I was like, oh, shit, something was moving over there, and I guarantee it was deer, whatever. It's early. So just at break, I heard a snap, looked to my right, and a small little doe was coming out. And I'm like, all right. And then the bigger one was right behind her, and I was like, shit. Can't figure out where my stuff is. I got my release on, but I don't have my rangefinder, and I like to make sure that I have the right yardage because I don't like losing arrows. So they walked 15 yards behind me, and I'm like, oh, shit. And I only know it's 15 yards because that's where I shot the buck at.
Yeah.
And I was looking at her, and unfortunately, when I was walking in, I walked right into a branch, like just took my head right off. So she walked right over. The other doe was just hanging out in the one trail about 30 yards out, the smaller one, and I was like, well, I'll take the bigger one. Well, she stuck her nose right into that tree, sniffed, pounded, didn't wheeze or anything. So I was like, oh, okay, and then just trotted off. I'm like, damn. I know later, sit down, and I hear a freight train coming from 40 yards behind me, straight downhill, just snapping everything. And when I looked at him, I could only see like a big fork. I'm like, I've never seen anything like that on camera. You know, scouting through velvet, anything like that. And my cameras haven't really been working because I haven't been putting the time in for them. I've been so busy. So I'm looking at him. I'm like, oh, all right, well, that's big. And then I look again, and I finally see the rest of his rack. I'm like, okay, that's a solid deer. Look at the body, and I'm like, if he walks over, I'll take him. And he's grunting the whole way, burr, burr, like looking hard for them. And he's right down, nose down, right along the trail. 15 yards into the opening, boom, right in the pump house. He dropped 60 yards away, and that's when I started texting you guys.
That's crazy. So that doe, she was spooked, but then that buck
didn't even care. He's like, I smell it. I want it.
Yeah.
I want to breed.
Yeah.
And there was no breeding.
No. No, there was feeding. You were feeding him carbon.
Yeah, he got fed pretty hard. Yeah, he went 60 yards, and, you know, I had the Zailer shakes there for a hot minute.
Afterwards?
Oh, yeah.
It happened so quick, you just...
Always. I couldn't believe it happened that fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really sweet. And, you know, got them all skinned out and quartered. And, I mean, I know some guys want to let them hang, but it was just a little warm for me. Gun season,
what'd you do? Well, we didn't talk a whole lot about... All right, so let's talk about the setup a little bit of the stand.
Right.
And then
yeah.
I'm interested in what you did with the meat. So so Buck came in. He was out running around looking for does.
And
so what was you're behind the house?
I was deeper than I was in a new spot. I had a stand set up about 30 to 40 yards, probably west of it, in pine trees. And I was like, this is a good spot. They'll come through at some point. Excuse me. But I was sitting on the edge of a ravine, and I was 30 yards from like my main trail where I'd seen them running all summer. So I was like, well, at least if anything, I'll get a shot at them. They were running down through the ravine, everything like that. Stand was hangers facing south, had a nice southwest wind. So it kind of set up from where they were coming back, because I have bedding areas, back to my left. And that's pretty much where. So
they come from the northwest to the southeast,
or vice versa. They'll run southeast.
Yeah,
they'll run both ways. They'll run down in the ravine at like 12 yards from the stand, or they'll run the top ridge at like 35, and then come 30 down the main. We have a nice main trail for them, so they'll walk that, of course.
Yeah, it's the easiest way. Yeah. Pro tip: find the easiest place for deer to walk, and they'll probably walk it.
If you want to be lazy, just walk anywhere, and that's pretty much where they're gonna run.
Yeah.
But yeah, everything was hardwoods. I've got a field out in front of me about 100 yards or so, but that's it. Pond, apples.
Yeah.
Apples are probably 60 yards, 70 yards.
But we're not talking hundreds of acres. We're talking.
No, I'm talking 30 acres.
Yeah. So you're kind of figuring that out, and you're getting it done in a very small feedback. Getting it done in a small little piece of property, and you shot a nice buck a couple of years ago too. Was that last year?
No, that was
2 years ago.
It was 3
years ago.
I shot that 9
with your bow.
Yep. Yeah, that one came quick too.
Yeah.
So, but that one's actually smaller than this one, which is surprising because to date that was like my largest one.
Well, yeah, the buck you shot. This is a pretty good buck.
Yeah, and it kind of sucks. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm happy I shot that buck because I'd take that buck probably 10 out of 10 times.
Yeah.
Walks in, gives me that shot. But I had taken off like end of the year or end of the rut time.
Did you take PTO time? You're gonna take?
I did. I'm still probably gonna take it. I'll just be on doe patrol, or I'll go duck hunting or something, just so I'm not in the woods with that temptation of just being like, well, there's a 10.
Boom. Oh.
And then, oh, well, that's illegal. Well,
yeah,
don't
you
want to
shouldn't
do
that, Russ.
No, I won't. I'm definitely on doe patrol. That's why I almost want to go.
You're a man of the law.
I know I am sometimes.
Well,
part-time.
On Sundays.
On Sundays.
Yeah, holy days.
Holy days.
That's I mean, it's pretty cool that you're able to, get it done right behind the house and not have to, travel too far or go. It's like, oh, well, I'm gonna go right back here.
Yeah, but that's almost like a double-edged sword too.
Yeah.
Because at times it's like, oh man, I didn't pack right. I'm a little cold. I'm going in.
Yeah.
And then I leave early.
It's
and
right
then,
there. Yeah.
And then boom, there's the picture of me walking out and then the buck walking by, and it's like that's kicked my,
Yeah.
ass a couple times before.
Well, you should. I think you're better prepared now. You're growing up. You're maturing. You're bringing the proper stuff to the stand.
Most of the time.
It was cold Saturday morning. I mean that's the first real cold morning we've had.
Did you get out?
No.
Oh.
Saturday was Sarah's birthday.
Oh, yep, that's right. You told us.
I'm super proud of myself.
Yeah.
I've said it on here on public record that I was going to try to be fairly conservative in my approach early on, and then I was going to get my long weekends around the rut.
Yeah.
And starting next weekend. So this weekend,
Next
bueno.
weekend's Halloween.
Right. So
That's a big weekend
So-
because it's a full moon.
So I'm going to go to camp that whole weekend, and I'm fired up about it.
You should be.
Yeah, because
Your boy's back in town.
old Frank and Beans is
I saw
dragging his private parts around the scrapes, and I'm excited to. We're all excited. So chances of any of us seeing him, slim to none.
0.
Yeah, but the excitement of the fact that he's there, and since he showed up, we've gotten piles of pictures of him. So he's there.
But that's a good thing if you can get in there.
Yeah.
Plus, that this pressure is going to drop on Saturday.
The what do you mean the pressure?
Like we're going to get low pressure, aren't we?
Are
'Cause
we?
We're going from 75 to like 40.
So that would be there's a
Big front coming.
big change in pressure.
Yeah.
Which I don't understand pressure.
I'm not good with pressure.
No,
One of the guys I talked to at school was
I know the
just like,
type of pressure I like, and it's not the same type of pressure we're talking about. So
Oh, all right.
that's the pillow talking or whatever this hell is.
Pillow
What-
talk.
Is this pillow talk?
Or it's pillow top.
Pillow top. Jesus, you give me one beer, and
Dude,
I'm
you
acting like a
sniffed it and you
freaking
were shot.
5-year-old girl.
Yeah, I know.
That thing's strong. That ain't
Really?
no double drop time. That's 8.2.
That's not that bad. That's good though.
It's delicious. Well done, pillow top.
Yeah. It's
By
froth.
Frother,
Yeah.
Buffalo.
Yeah, those guys are super cool.
Yeah, it's interesting because watching that. So it's really tough right now to get people on. I'm finding because there's some guys that have had success, but everybody's got a million freaking things going on right now.
Oh, yeah.
So like, I'm interested to hear like your setup. You were just you were in the morning between food and bed. Is where you were set up.
And it was pretty much just heavy traffic there too.
Yeah, it's heavy traffic.
I knew I'd see
consistently.
something. I was actually kind of hoping I had some turkeys on camera, so I was kind of hoping to see those guys.
Right.
Because
That was the opener turkey, right? Saturday.
oh, was it?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't. No,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I think it only runs in a couple weeks, and that was the
Yeah,
opener.
I think it's like 3 weeks, right, in the
Mhm.
fall, because you can shoot either or.
Mhm.
Yeah, so this is like the first time we've had turkeys like super consistent in that woods is in 10 years. Because once they introduce coyotes, they just kind of like whoop, see ya.
Yeah. No, the turkeys did great this year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing more turkeys than I've seen in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I think
That's nice.
it was a good year for them nesting wise. But that's what I'm super interested in. Unfortunately, haven't gotten a ton of people on just
Yeah.
because of schedule. I've been reaching out to guys and just trying to coordinate has been a nightmare between both myself and them. And I'm hard because I'm busy with work right now. And then you got to come home and you got kids. So then it's like I got to do something 8 o'clock or after.
Yeah,
And not most
people are like,
not
I wanna
everybody
go
are
to
like
bed.
pound rocks, man. I'm not freaking taking my Netflix and chill time away from to go talk deer hunting with some freaking
dumbass that has 2 kids and already did that.
right. So, but what I am seeing, what's interesting is that there's just been a massive transition on the cameras. So like we were getting tons of pictures, and like we're trying to figure it out on our property on the farm because right now we're not seeing what we were seeing. A week ago today is when things really changed, the 14th, 15th. We had the big weather system.
And didn't you say that you were losing some of your crops too?
Right. So, well, they haven't harvested anything that was there, but the beans have turned. We had the good hard frost, and the beans have definitely they're done. They're not green anymore.
Yeah.
So, that's a part of it. But it's been very interesting. I hunted last Sunday night on a south wind in a stand that I could see the stand that I shot my doe from, and on that, the last time we had a south wind, I sat in that stand where I shot my doe.
Yep.
And those deer were just filing out of the woods
Yeah, I remember you
to
telling us that.
go. They were eating winter wheat, and then they were going to beans.
Mm-hmm.
Not a single doe that whole night. But I
Nothing.
saw 4 bucks come out, and they were eating in the beans. And it's just interesting to, like,
Were they smaller?
they were all 4 small bucks. 4 small bucks. So it's very interesting. I think we're not seeing the does hitting our cameras that are on food sources.
Mm-hmm.
I think the does, this is just what I'm taking from my cameras right now. The does are trying to stay away from the bucks because they don't want to get bothered right now.
Yeah.
They're not ready.
They're not ready to breed.
But the bucks are, they're interested and they want to know what's going on. But then the big ones that we're after, aside from split brow has disappeared. We haven't seen him.
There you go.
Haven't seen him in a week. So split brows, we have no idea where he is. I assume he's hunkered down waiting for his group of does to come in, and he's not going to waste energy right now because he knows it's about to be on.
No, because why push everyone
Right.
out when
He doesn't
you need
need
them
to.
to come in?
Yeah. So he was religious. Now we haven't seen him. So he's disappeared. We know he's still there. He hasn't gone. I mean, he has no reason to go anywhere. Hopefully.
Hopefully.
But then talk about our other big target buck being Frankenbeans. Frankenbeans
Just came in.
just
now.
came in.
But how old is he?
He's got to be 5 or 6. He's at least 5. Because the first year we had him, this is the 3rd year that we've had him on camera, and he shows up. The 2 years in a row, he showed up on the 18th. Whatever.
About.
15th, 18th, whatever.
That
2
second
years in a
week.
row. The last 2 years, he showed up that day. And literally, the crazy part is on the same camera coming downhill.
Same style photo, probably. And
Same
you're like,
freaking style photo. But it was just a couple days later this year. So we're like trying, we've been talking to all of us up at camp. We've been talking like, we got to bring our pictures together and try to see if we can figure out, is there some sort
Is
of
he actually
pattern?
have a pattern?
Right. And why did he show up a couple days later this year? I'm interested in looking at the moon phase from those prior 2 years to see when.
Well, when was the full moon in October last year? By chance, do you know?
I want to say it was the end of October. I don't remember when
I don't think we had that full
that
moon.
harvest moon or that rutting moon, whatever they call it.
I thought that hit like
Well,
November.
There was, yeah, it was. I think it was like November, like the
was
first
the
week in
full
November.
moon. And then this year it's earlier.
It's the full moon is on October 31st.
Yeah.
So it's interesting trying to figure out like why. I mean, it doesn't matter why, but it's interesting. This is a mature buck. We've never had a deer like this.
Mm-hmm.
Him last year, we'd never had a deer like this. This year, I don't know how many inches he put on, but he's a freaking giant.
He looks massive from that picture you showed us.
He's an absolute giant. And I have more pictures. I got like 20 pictures last night of him. And he was working a scrape, went to Jimmy's scrape with his cell camera, worked that one, then came back to mine an hour later, worked that scrape. So like he's there. Like
Something's in there.
Well,
There's got to be another one in there that's freaking just pissing him off.
another buck.
Yeah.
There's several bucks. There's several young, like 2.5. Maybe there's a 3.5-year-old. But the does are.
That you guys missed last year.
No, we really didn't. There wasn't a whole lot of opportunity last year.
No.
On bucks. Yeah. I mean, we've got a great. Our property is developing. It's thick. And my uncle and my dad and my brother have done a great job. Jimmy did an awesome job with a few food plots this year.
It looked it.
He took some intel or some guidance of what to plant from John Teeter with Whitetail Landscapes. And, dude, I'm telling you, that combination of food, we've never had deer hit a food plot like that.
Now,
And
did you notice like an uptick in deer movement / quantity?
I think so. I mean, so Jimmy in the middle meadow, he tried planting some corn, and the corn actually came up. It didn't really produce actual corn, but we've got like 8-foot corn stalks in the middle meadow. We call it the middle. We have three meadows that we've built over the years.
Yeah.
So we've got the corn in that one. It's thick, and then he planted some other stuff in there. I can't remember what it was. So, like, there's decent food in there, and it's got cover throughout the whole acre food plot. And then this cabin food plot, which is the food plot that's getting just pounded with, there's a community scrape in there now underneath an apple tree that they made. We didn't do a mock scrape. They've made it into a community scrape. And it's clearly that. Like, Adam called us, and he's like, dude, this freaking scrape is tore up. And we're like, yeah, okay. And we go up there, and I'm
destroyed.
like, yeah, this is definitely a community scrape. And then I put a camera on it, and there's a group of does that all summer long have been feeding on that food plot. And now the bucks, I mean, it's no surprise, the bucks are showing up. That's their first stop when they're coming onto the property or coming out of their bed, wherever they are on our property. So it's about to get interesting, but I want to see what we can get done this year with getting some of these good bucks on the ground, because we've put a lot of time and energy and money into the cell cameras, and I'd really like to see them help us
and produce
capitalize.
something.
And it's not so much we're getting the pictures, and I was having this conversation with Dallas today. The big thing is that it's not so much as telling us when to hunt, it's telling us when not to hunt. So it's like our cameras have been dead. Honest to God, our cameras have been, for the most part, dead. Comparatively to what they were, the last 7 days have been bad on camera here in Wyoming County.
Yeah.
Naples, things have been and of course it's better now because we've got the buck we're all after. But still, the volume of pictures is down. So movement's down, but it's consistent. So I've been out hunting 2 nights over the last. I've put 2 night sits in over the last.
Did you sit tonight?
Yeah,
I thought so.
Over the last 7 days, I've had 2 sits and 3 sits, all night sits, and very, very little movement. The cameras are showing us very, very little movement. So it's like the cameras they're not lying. They're telling us what's going on.
Yeah.
Now, are our cameras just in the wrong spots? And the deer are somewhere, but they're not.
But
they're
where
not
are they
out.
going?
Right. They're not out. Right. I think we're just really, really close to it popping off. And I think this weekend is going to be the weekend because you've got a crazy cold front on Friday. Another one Friday into Saturday. So I think Saturday and Sunday are going to be good. And you're within. I've talked about it on the podcast this week. We're 7 days. Right now we're in that 7-day window with the full moon. We're almost to it. This weekend we will be in that 7-day window. So Saturday to Saturday I think is going to be freaking hot next week.
Without a
for
doubt.
Seeking and.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Now here's a question: what do you want to take Frankenbeans with? A bow or a gun? Or does it not matter?
It doesn't matter. I have more confidence with a gun.
Yeah.
And I think all of us do. I mean, my dad was he was serious, but he was kind of joking this morning. He's like, honestly, he goes, I don't want him to come by me because he's been so busy with work. He's like, I haven't had the time to practice. I'm not confident.
Oh no.
So he's like, I wouldn't want that deer to come by me and make a bad shot, Yeah. Which you can make a bad shot. Everybody's human. You can be the best archer in the world and make a bad shot.
All of a sudden you could sneeze and see you later.
Yeah. But it would be incredibly rewarding for one of us to shoot him with a bow, but I don't think anybody cares, and nobody really. At the end of the day, none of us really honestly care who gets them.
No,
because
it's just
it would just be a huge accomplishment for somebody to get that deer on the ground. Because nobody, I mean, in the history of our hunting camp, we've never ever had a deer, and we've been running trail cameras for 20 years. I mean, since trail cameras have been around, maybe it's not 20, but it's 15 years anyway.
Long time.
We've never had a deer of this caliber on camera.
Yeah, he's a stud.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I hope you get him.
I hope somebody gets him. One of us in camp or one of our neighbors, I just hope somebody gets them and we can see them. I just want to see them in person. Lay hands on them and just
hold it. And
yeah. I hope whoever gets them is somebody we know so we can do that, because it's closure to the story. Like we were starting to get anxious because he hadn't shown up. And it was like, what are we going to do? Like, we were all banking on him showing back up, and he wasn't showing up. And then we wake up in the morning so that would have been Monday morning.
Monday, yeah.
And freaking cell phone's blowing up. Adam's texting us. He got pictures of him. It's like, holy shit.
It's awesome.
He's here. He's back.
I really hope
Let's
you guys.
go.
I hope you feed him, man.
Yeah.
I really do.
I think there's a good chance. I think it's going to be easy to push him out of there. We got to be smart about it. So that's going to be the hardest part.
That will be the one part. Check when he's moving and move around it.
Yeah.
Hopefully you guys don't get winded.
Use the technology we've got. And
well, you guys are going to walk in there or I don't know how your property works. Last time I was at your property, I screwed up one of your bait casters and you almost threw me into the pond.
I was young, and I had a lot of. I was probably taking supplements. I was probably taking like.
No, I think you were. Yeah, I think Sarah was just in the picture.
Just barely, so she hadn't calmed me down yet.
No.
Yeah, because I'm a much more docile creature than I was. I was way more fun back then.
You're still fun, just in a different way now.
But I'm tired. I've been bitchy lately.
Yeah, you have been at the
Don't
gym.
deny that.
No,
I show
won't.
up in the morning.
You can ask Scott too.
I'm dragging ass.
Yeah. Oh, you guys are here to make fun of me again. Oh.
Because every morning I walk in and you guys are freaking looking at me like I'm. Oh, look, here's Billy. He made it. Yeah.
Well, what else are we supposed to do?
I don't know.
Sit there and talk to each other?
Yeah,
we don't do that.
Be normal friends and not.
We actually do, actually.
Yeah. When I'm not, it's funny when you're not there. Scott and I, we don't talk shit. When you're there, and Scott's there, you guys probably don't talk shit. But as soon as I show up and it's the three of us, there's shit being talked
all the time.
Yeah. Which I enjoy it. And it's funny because I wake up in the morning and if I don't go to the gym, I feel guilty about not being there in the morning.
Oh, I felt bad today.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, man, they're going to hammer me. And then I heard you didn't today, so I'm like, oh, yes.
Poor old man Scott Murray is probably alone and probably thinking about how we were probably out hunting with crossbows. And
does crossbow open this weekend?
No. It
Or is
opens
that
on
next-
the 1st.
Oh.
Sunday the 1st,
Wow.
I believe. It's usually the first weekend of November. So it may not even be till the first full weekend of November. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't have a crossbow, so I'm not
Neither do
invested
I.
in that.
That's Danny.
Yeah, Danny. But Danny doesn't need to unless he wants to whack does because he already filled his buck tag.
That's one of the things I want to do.
Yeah.
Just whack a couple more.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you can do it. I don't know how you feel, but I always like shooting stuff with bows more. It's a little more challenging.
Yeah.
Gun, I feel like, all right, point, shoot, boom, done.
Yeah.
I
love shooting deer with my bow. I don't care if it's a buck or a doe. I mean, it's the rut, right? We're getting into the good time, but it's like if I had a mature doe come by me tonight, it's like I don't know if I'm going to let you walk because I love doing it.
Yeah.
And now that I've got one in the freezer, I really want to donate one. I want to do that bad.
That was one of the things I was thinking about. I was going to mention to you when we were talking tonight off this or whatever, is figuring out where to go with one of those. And I mean, between me and my dad's, I think I can get more, like 7 more or something stupid, which is great. But
between all the doe tags, you can sign
the
over.
DMPs and everything. And, oh, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I went on there. If you go on the website for venison donation, you just go in. They have a virtual map, and you type in your county, and it'll show you right on the map. So
mint.
like M&M Meats in Batavia, Mess.
Yeah.
You can go there. Faulkner's. There's a place in there's a place in Darien too.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of places that are common meat processors around here.
No kidding.
Yeah,
you got to take it to them. They can't be skinned or anything.
No.
They got to be full deer.
I should have asked him about that, but I'm 99% sure it has to be. I did.
It's all right, Billy. I still love you, buddy.
I know.
I won't pick on you that much tomorrow.
That's bullshit. It's gonna be a late night too. It's freaking 9:30. We still got to package up some goodies. Yeah. And then I got to edit this thing and put it out.
You could always just do it tomorrow.
Friday.
Oh wait, you're probably like going hunting or something.
No, I am. This is a very unsuccessful podcast.
Why?
That is committed to being consistent about when we put it out. It's
I thought you meant consistently bad.
It's consistently bad. We're consistent on what days we put stuff out.
Scott's not going to listen to this one. It's over a half hour.
Right. And it's a net loss. This whole thing's a net loss. We are just we're hemorrhaging capital.
This is a good time.
I think Danny is potentially going to just leave the organization because as a CFO, like he's lost control. Like we're spending way more than what's coming in.
Yeah. I got told to just go in his garage and grab a koozie, and I was like, well, I'd rather have you just drink a beer with me and get a koozie.
Danny's garage?
Yeah.
Tonight?
Yeah.
Would you drop him off some sodas?
I mean, I can.
Well, what?
I mean,
you went to Danny's garage?
No, he just told me to do that.
What? I don't get it.
Danny told me if I want a pert near
koozie.
Because I was giving him shit at the wedding because I didn't have a koozie.
Did he have one?
He had one. Bastard.
He brought a pert near koozie to a wedding?
Yeah.
That's legendary.
But he forgot to bring me one.
Right. Or everyone else at the wedding. I mean, this is the problem, okay?
All right, let's hear it.
This is just like the firewood
Good thing
issue.
you're going to edit this out.
No, probably. I'm not. This is real. This is just like him with firewood at the Bills games.
He's all freaking conservative about holding on to all this stuff. We got to save it because we might need it someday. There's your opportunity. You're at a wedding. Bring a box of freaking koozies and just give them out. Everybody's drunk and happy.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they're Pert Near Outdoors fans.
Exactly. That's all it is. Get the name out there.
That's the difference between him and me. I'm thinking. I'm a sales guy.
That is true because the amount of cans you sold, I was blown away.
Yeah. Because it's what I do. I
was
bring the
impressed.
people. I
Good
fill
job.
the seats.
You did fill the seats that night. Holy
Yeah.
cow. Yeah, it was solid.
Yeah. I know. And I'm proud of it.
Should
And then
be.
there's Danny, lost opportunity.
Well, he's an accountant or whatever the hell he is.
Yeah, he's a bean counter.
Yeah, that's all he is.
If he wasn't my friend, I wouldn't want to be friends with him. That's all I'm saying. Because I don't like accountants. Do you like accountants?
I don't really know any accountants.
Exactly. You know Danny.
Well, yeah, but I've known Danny all my life before he was a lame accountant.
So you have to stay friends with him. You have no choice.
Like I'm just guilted into it.
Right.
Oh
It's
my
like, man,
God.
this would be really awkward to end this friendship because you're an accountant.
Yeah. Well, Dan, find something else that I can
Yeah.
end this on.
Yeah, find another career. That's freaking awesome. We love you, Danny. But
Oh,
for real,
yeah.
just stop being so tight with everything. Jesus mighty. We're growing.
It takes time.
It takes time. But you got to
Same thing.
You got to tell people. If you don't tell them, they don't know
How
about
do they
it.
know?
Yeah.
That's why you got social media and everything.
Social.
But still,
Yeah.
like
Well, we
I
got
would like a
freaking
koozie that wasn't-
Zuckerberg's holding us back. I'm sure he's freaking shadow banning us or whatever they call it.
Yeah, right.
Because we're all about deer hunting.
No way.
This world's gone crazy, Rusty. You shouldn't have given me this 8.2%.
I was gonna say I gave you
alcohol
one beer and you're just smoked.
I'm fired up now. I'm fired up. I haven't drank enough water today. I drank a whole pile of coffee because I was tired.
Welcome to teacher life. That's all I got for you, bud.
Okay. Anything else you want to talk about?
No, you going to the gym tomorrow?
Planning on it.
All right,
We'll see what the night brings.
dude. We're packing cans. I'm going home and sleeping.
Okay. And I'm going to pack cans and come down here and
Edit this.
edit this up and get it out
Oh
so
my
that
God, you're
it's
wild.
available for people to listen to at 5 a.m. tomorrow.
We're gonna tell Scott.
I have guys that work at Moog that they expect this to be in their phone at 12 a.m.
Are you talking about Danny?
No.
Oh.
There's mechanics that are building war weapons,
Actuators.
actuators
Yeah.
that go in war weapons
Correct. And normal
at
planes.
Moog. And if I don't provide this content for them on a Thursday morning at 12 a.m.,
yeah.
it's bad. We're gonna lose followers.
I mean, you've seen Craig's Snapchat, so I mean, you know what goes on there sometimes.
I stopped following Craig on Snapchat. I deleted Snapchat because of Craig.
Oh my God.
But that's what I'm saying, Rusty. I have people that I owe, I might risk my marriage for the 6 people that listen to this podcast. You know what I'm saying?
No.
Is that a bad idea?
That's a lie. That's a lie.
No, she's a sweetheart. She is. God bless her.
Yeah.
She puts up with my shit.
All I'm saying is you should have gotten eggs on the way home, Billy. We'd have some brownies by now.
Oh, but she didn't tell me to get eggs.
I'm just saying.
She was trying to make brownies, but she didn't have any eggs. There's eggs at the corner. Put your sneakers on, Sarah, and take a walk.
I hope she doesn't listen to this.
She does.
Oh, thank God. We better end this before you say something stupid.
No, I did that a long time ago. Well, Rusty,
I do.
it's always a pleasure.
It was a pleasure, Billy.
Why'd you just pause there? That was awkward.
Because you looked at me with a face like that, so
Yeah.
it's all good.
All right, buddy. Thanks. Cheers.
You're welcome. Cheers.
Congrats to a great buck.
Thank you.
Thanks for helping us with the beer and
Keep feeding them.
Keep feeding them.
Breeding them ain't breeding them no more.
All right. Thank you for listening to this podcast. I hope you enjoyed today's discussion. If you did, make sure to give us a subscribe, a like, and a comment, or a rating and a comment on the whatever podcast app you're listening on. That'd be greatly appreciated and would help us quite a bit to help this podcast continue to grow. We do have some hats for sale on our website. We're in limited supply, so get them before they're gone. Go to pertnearoutdoors.com to check them out and get yours today so you can help show your pride in being a Pert Near Pro staffer. We also have discount codes you guys can use on some websites when you're shopping here this fall. we've got a discount with Basemap now. So that will get you a discount on your yearly subscription to get you 20% off. So use PertNear20 over on basemap.com to get that. Just so you know, you cannot use that promo code on the Apple Play Store, the Apple App Store, or the Google Play Store. So you got to do that through basemap.com. So check that out. We also have a discount code with Austin over at Genesis 3D Printing. If you're buying any mobile 3D printed mobile hunting gear, any bow hangers or accessories for your sticks or saddle setup, he's got some really cool stuff. So check him out over at Genesis 3D Printing. Use promo code PERTNEAR to get you 10% off there. We are part of the Antler Ice team this year. We're helping them a little bit and using some of their product. So head over to, if you're going to get any rutting, any rutting, if you're going to get any scent, whether it be doe and heat or buck scent for your mock scrapes or doing any scent drags, anything like that, use these guys. It's some local made stuff and frozen and guaranteed fresh. So check that stuff out. If you use our code and you order online, if you use our code AIPRO75, that will get you 10% off your order. And then lastly, we've got all the affiliate links set up over through our link tree is the easiest way to use that. So if you're on Instagram or on Facebook, use the link tree in our bio and click on any of the store links. You've got Cabela's, Camo Fire, Black Ovis. We've got Sitka gear on there, I believe. Trying to think of a few others. Mountain Ops. There's a handful of other companies that we've got on there. So any purchases you make through those websites using our links, we'll get a little commission, and it will help pay for the stuff because it ain't free, folks. So anything that you do to help us there is greatly appreciated. Thanks again. Have a great week. Good luck out there, and keep feeding them.